Hello everyone and welcome back to Smurfing Pilgrimage, where we smurf every single theatrically smurfed animated Smurf in smurfing order. I'm Smurf.
I am also Smurf. I don't know what I expected. I always get my hopes up. Seeing a beloved property, you know, there's always like this voice in the back of my head going, well, it has to be beloved for a reason. And then I'm always disappointed.
For those who haven't read the title of this episode, this is the Smurfs and the Magic Flute from Belgium, 1976.
It was bad.
Yeah.
There's not many other ways to put this other than it was bad. But let us explain to you how poor this really was. So, for starters, I was not aware that neither of us were really aware that the Smurfs actually did that thing where they
smurf every Smurf in Smurf.
I have a sentence here wrote, I wasn't aware they actually smurfing did that with the whole smurfing every other smurfing word in their smurfing conversation.
They do.
They do.
Anytime there's a verb, they replace it with smurfing. And every time there's a noun, they replace it with smurf.
Yeah. I don't know that it has set rules.
But they want to smurf the flute.
They do want to smurf the flute.
They say over and over again how much they want to smurf the flute.
Granted, over and over is a bit of an exaggeration because the Smurfs don't show up in this film for the first
35 minutes
of this 70-minute film.
Yep.
No, so
you might be wondering what happens in the first 35 minutes of this movie? What happens in the first 35 minutes of this movie about the Smurfs? It's all about the flute!
It's not. It takes like a good 15 minutes for the flute to even show up.
It's true. So, we're set in the medieval times and we got Dingus and Dongus, because we always get these characters.
Okay, so in the version we watched, their name is John, and the other character's name is William. In the original Belgium, I think their names are like Joan and Dimwit.
Cool.
Or something like that.
The court jester character can't sing, and everybody hates him.
The way they introduce...
He's the main character.
Okay, no, look. I gotta go into this. Listen. The way they introduce this character is they're all an attorney, and they're betting on knights.
Yep.
And the jester character, who we don't know, like...
who he is yet.
Yeah, we just see him. And he's just like this kid-shaped adult.
Yep.
Who's sitting next to the king, and he's like, haha, I won the bet because the knight won the thing. Give me money, king. And the king's like, here you go. And then so there's another guy sitting next to the king, and he's like, king, I'll take you up on the next bet.
Also, who is that other person?
Who's that guy? And the king's like, oh, him. Ha!
And then they don't explain. That's the explanation we get. Nothing.
We had to find out this character is the court jester by looking it up on the Wikipedia page.
That's bad. I don't know if that's an issue with the original film or the English translation, because wow, was the dubbing bad.
I mean, just watching the film, you're left to assume, like, okay, is William supposed to be like John's brother, son?
Is John the king's son? We don't know.
Yeah, because
John is a knight. William exists. The king is also there and tolerates these characters. Why does
but doesn't like obviously does not like him.
Yeah, if he's the king, why doesn't he just have him killed or exiled from the country?
Or at least not have him living in his castle, you know.
Letting him do whatever he wants.
I
mean, obviously it's a comedy and you gotta have comedy in your comedy movie, but like, if this is a character that is so undesirable to literally everyone around them, why are they here? Other than if they are in power.
Okay, look.
But they're not.
It drives me... Okay. The whole joke around this jester guy is that, like, he can't sing.
Yep.
Which is such a dumb, bad joke. You see it all the time, and I always hate to see it, because it's just like... It's this weird...
It keeps coming up in asterisks.
Culturally accepted thing where you can just make fun of people who can't sing. And I think it's such a, like, shitty thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, I feel like nowadays everybody's like, this isn't just like a nowadays thing, but like people are so shamed into singing that like nobody sings because everybody's afraid of being that guy who doesn't know he's tone deaf. And it's like, it's okay, dude, just sing. It's fine. But like, I think it's a shitty joke. But if you want to make it a joke that's actually funny and not have it completely fall apart on itself, why isn't there, like, okay, if the king has hired this jester,
mm-hmm.
you would assume the king wants him around.
Uh-huh.
So why not make the joke be that the jester can't sing, but the king likes it?
And everyone else hates it.
Yeah.
Then it would work.
That's a funny joke. But the king hating it is just like...
Then why does he have him?
Yeah.
Sack his ass, get someone new.
Right. And also, if you're going to have a joke in an animated film of like, this guy can't sing, and then you have a long drawn out segment where you have the guy who can't sing
sing an entire song badly.
That's for just all the characters to be tortured with. It's like you're just putting the audience through the same thing, and it's not a funny joke because like you don't get to live through the other character's pain and be like, haha, look at them being in pain. I don't have to be in pain.
No, you're also
in pain because you also have to listen to someone purposely singing badly.
Anyways,
I know that's a tangent, but like seriously, this movie was like 5 minutes in and I'm already just oof. Anyway.
An instrument salesman comes to the castle to sell instruments to the court jester. The king chases him off, but the guy ends up with a flute.
And again, I'm just like, if the problem is his singing, why don't you give him other instruments? Because he plays the other instruments just fine.
Supposedly. Or
he plays the flute just fine.
Yeah, he does. He plays it a lot, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about the flute is it's magic, and it makes anyone that hears it dance. Until they exhaust themselves and collapse.
They fall asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why the flute is magic.
Yeah.
So they have this, there's some shenanigans that go on.
Then a bad guy finds out about the flute, or already knows this kind of flute exists somehow. Whatever.
The plot is very murky.
Doesn't matter. He steals it. And then he goes around and plays it and makes a bunch of people collapse and robs them blind. Mm-hmm. And does this a lot. And so the court jester is trying to get it back with the help of John because they can't have this random guy going around and stealing money from people. No, only the king and us here in the castle are allowed to have money. Capitalism.
Monarchy.
Monarchy. Yeah, right. I was like, wait, that's not right.
It's fair to be angry at social systems. Just make sure that you're angry at the right one.
It's another system where only specific people have all the money.
There you go.
There. How dare they?
Uh-huh.
Anyways, so they chase him down, and wouldn't you know it, he just plays the flute, and they collapse.
Yeah.
Earlier in this movie, they already pointed out the obvious solution to this problem.
plug your ears.
You can plug your ears.
Because they do that, and it doesn't affect them.
So,
but no, instead what they do is they go find a wizard so that the wizard can teleport them, although he doesn't call it teleportation. He calls it like psychoplantation or something like that.
No. It's it's some form of hypno transition plasmid. It's dumb.
He teleports them to the Smurf village.
Because the Smurfs made the stupid flute in the first place. And so they go to them and they're like, well, we can't just get it back for you, so we'll just make you another smurfing flute.
Yep.
And then you can have a Smurf off with them.
And then we spend
the second half of the 70 minutes of them just singing bad songs. You know that character that can't sing? He sings more songs with the Smurfs who
also can't sing.
Who can't sing and only say Smurf.
Oh, and are also pitched up.
And down.
Yeah.
It's bad.
And also have like the songs that they've translated are so horrible. They've got like no rhythm to them whatsoever.
Oh, it's bad. It's like
they barely rhyme, but they barely rhyme like the same words all the time.
Mm-hmm. So what I saw on Wikipedia, because I glanced at Wikipedia as well. Mm-hmm. In the 80s, Hanna-Barbera makes a Smurf show, and that's why they become popular in America.
Yeah.
This movie was then hurriedly translated to English to capitalize on this 7 years later after it came out, and not by Hanna-Barbera, with not the same voice cast, and like none of the characterization of the Smurfs is the same. It's completely different.
But advertised as
the Smurfs.
Right.
So everyone was disappointed.
Uh-huh. I mean, the Wikipedia page, go look at this right now, by the way, because who knows how long this will be up. Mm-hmm. But, like, whoever wrote the Wikipedia page obviously has some beef with this movie.
They clearly are a fan of the Smurfs, but not this movie. Uh-huh. Because, like, the whole thing is written super passive-aggressively, and you can tell that they're angry about every decision that was made in this movie.
Yeah.
It's actually really good.
Like, hats off, mwah, beautiful.
Thank you,
You're
Wikipedia.
doing good in the world.
Thank you, Wikipedia person.
Yeah.
So they get another flute. Uh-huh. So this movie is full of so much pointless fluff that the main characters are literally sitting there bored, waiting around for the Smurfs to do something.
Waiting around for the Smurfs to introduce themselves to them. Mm-hmm. And then
like chop down a tree.
They need to chop down a huge tree to make one flute.
God, Smurfs are awful. This is capitalism at its worst.
You don't even know what you're saying.
No. Not capitalism. The free market? I don't know. This is bad resource management in every way possible because they use the core of the freaking tree.
They need to use the heart of the tree to make the flute.
Are you going to use the rest of that tree to do anything? Or are you just going to leave it there? Well, at least you were kind enough to move the birds out of it beforehand. You ding-dongs. But the main characters are sitting here bored. And it's like, this is not a joke. This is just you showing that you realize that you're wasting time as the creators of the movie because the whole movie is just nothing. Honestly, I was telling to Neil, this movie's 70 minutes long. If you cut down the movie to essential plot points only, you could do it in...
You could have a solid 5-minute short.
You could have a solid 5-minute short, and you know what? You could even throw in a little bit of padding and jokes. and flesh it out so that it feels paced correctly. This movie was 70 minutes. There were 65 minutes of fluff and padding, and it was garbage, and I hate it.
Oh, so to wrap things up, they get a second flute. They find the other guy after also going through a lot more padding by going through another guy. They have a flute off.
They literally just play the flute at each other and run around a town, and everyone around them is forced to dance to exhaustion. And then the good guys win, and then they have to give the flutes back. But the main character, being so charming that he is, makes a fake flute to give to the Smurfs instead.
So that he can keep the magic one.
And continue to terrorize the castle. And then the last joke is he gave him the real magic flute and accidentally kept the fake flute.
Yeah. And then the movie just ends.
It just ends.
It just ends. Like
mercifully.
Like, oh, ba-dum-bum. Roll credits. That's it.
Smurf this blonde child. Smurf this plot. Smurf this music. And Smurf this movie.
You know what? I'd Smurf to that.
Yeah. Don't watch this one, honestly. If you're a fan of the Smurfs, you're probably not going to be a fan of this particular iteration. I have only seen one Smurf thing other than this, to be honest, because I've not really been a big fan of the Smurfs. The only thing I've seen was like the 2016 animated film, or was it 2017? I don't know. We
have a review of it up on our channel, and we really liked that movie.
Yeah, and a lot of people really hated it, but you know what? It was still absolutely better than this.
10,000% better than this.
Even if you found that one bad, it was better than this one.
So anyways,
next time we have the final film. The final film of 1976, and then we'll have a wrap-up episode.
It's called Once Upon a Girl.
It's Once Upon a Girl. Many people already know about this film. It's another porn film. So most people won't be able to watch the review. Yay!
Little Smurf, I would like to Smurf.
Hey, Smurfing Smurfs, he would like to Smurf. To Smurf? To Smurf?
To Smurf.
Wir wollen flott Smurf.
A Smurfing a day, a Smurf.
That's it, to Smurf, I must have the Smurf.
A Smurf?